Well, it was my turn to pick the monthly read for ICU Reading and Social Network. And so I went with Family by J. California Cooper, one of my all-time favorites. Y'all want to hear about it? Here it go. It's going to be the intro to your book review. Right. I was about due for a slave book, and why not go ahead and select Family? And because I hadn't read it in so long, I'm like, oh, yay, this will be fun. Y'all, this book is so readable. Like, I just felt like I was sitting at the dinner table with a grandmama just talking about stuff. Let me give y'all this synopsis real quick from the cover of my hardcover book. Because y'all know I love me a hardcover book, okay? Family became a national bestseller when it first appeared in 1991. That's relevant. I'm going to come back to that. Still timeless today, it recaptures the detriment and pain of slavery through the voice of a slave woman, Clara, who has succeeded in killing herself, but not her children. An unusual narrator, Clara poetically describes the heart-wrenching conditions that led to her mother's and her own suicide. She also shares the stories of her surviving generations from slavery to freedom and reveals the fate of her daughter, Always, who is too dark to escape the bounds of slavery by passing as her siblings do. But most of all, you'll be touched by Clara's endless fortitude that has allowed her descendants and so many others to live on. Now, the reason why I said that 1991 was relevant is because at the time when this book came out, Miss Cooper was 60 years old. So she wrote this book at 60. And I felt like you could tell because, like I said before, because the narration feels like grandmama. It gives all of the good grandmama vibes. I feel like I want to eat rolls and smothered pork chops with some rice and some gravy, and some country time lemonade. I just felt like a grandmama was sitting here narrating this story. So it's told from a third party narration. Clara, she dead. She is talking to us from the afterlife. There are authors who have attempted that and have failed terribly. J. California Cooper is not one of them. She has perfected the afterlife voice, okay? If y'all feel like y'all want to know why I'm putting emphasis on that, you can go and watch my video I did just a short while ago about Life After Death by Sister Soldier, and you'll see what I mean. Anywho, this was a perfectly told story. Like, I have no quarrels about any of the direction of the book, how it went, none of it. Some of the feedback that we received when we talked about it, though, was that, hey, through the book, although Clara seemed to have had multiple children, she really only focused in on one of her daughters. And it just felt like, why didn't we get more story from what the other kids were doing? And I think from the synopsis, it kind of leads into part of the reasoning, and that being that her daughter Always was the one child who didn't pass. Okay. Clearly everybody else could pass. And by that we mean folks was going to think they was white. Thus, they could go on and live a white life. always didn't have that option. So her life was going to be the most tumultuous. Thus, Clora felt the need to be more present with Always than she did with her other children. So, majority of this story will be based on the life of Always. And I would imagine that it's similar to that in real life, even today, where parents who have multiple children, they have the kids that's well off. You know, they're going to be all right. You know what I mean? And then you have the ones that, yeah, they need a little extra help in their life. You know what I mean? And so you got to pay a little bit more attention to those children than you do the other ones, you know? And I think that that was pretty much what was happening in this story. It wasn't so much that Clora didn't love her children the same. It was just that she had to tailor fit her attention for each of them. And it just so happened that Always was the one that needed way more attention than everybody else. Now, you guys, this is what some would consider a slave book. Now, to know me is to know that I love a slave book. Okay. If I want one thing in my book, it's a what? Slave. So people know this about me, right? And I feel like I need to talk on that a little bit, because there is a lot of people who are like, I'm so done with the idea of watching and viewing Black trauma. I know about it. I'm done with it. It just do too much to me. It drains my energy. And baby, listen, I understand. And that's fine. But I do want to express some of the reasons behind why I am a fan of quote unquote slave books. One, I feel like much of what some of us have learned about slavery and the history of Black people in this country have come from textbooks that have not always gotten it right. I think that there is a whitewashing of sorts that has been happening with that narrative for a very long time. And so I've committed myself to hearing the stories from another aspect rather than from what I recall from school, because the reality is that a lot of them textbooks writers was not getting it right. But we have a whole lot of authors who look like us, who are willing to tell the stories and tell them more accurately. And I'm here for it. Secondly, I feel like keeping myself aware and keeping their struggles at the forefront of my mind is the least I could do for those who have paved the way for me to be able to sit down here in my boom boom room and tell y'all about books that I like to read. Okay. I could not imagine having to have the strength to endure all of what we have endured in this country, right? Like, couldn't fathom putting myself into the shoes of them, because I just feel like I've just fell out dead somewhere, okay? Because I don't drink enough water anyway. I be dehydrated and stuff. I been and fell out in somebody's field, and I can't. So, back to what I was saying, in all seriousness. There is a respect that I have for anybody who came before and dealt with and endured all that was slavery in America. To have had literally everything taken from you and to still exist and to thrive, that is the ultimate sign of strength. I don't know a people who is stronger than us. It's practically like magical, because again, I couldn't imagine your voice, your name, your climate, your land, your family, everybody, everything taken, and you still out here figuring out how to exist, how to live. Like in 2021, we literally are just out here, still here. I owe them. I owe them that. I owe. I feel as though I owe them to know their story. And this is how I pay my homage to them, is by reading the tales, watching the movies, never forgetting, passing on the knowledge that I have, and never forgetting. And the last thing, and the one thing that's going to pretty much tie into what I want to say more directly about this book, Family, is these narratives give me a better understanding of Black women, current day Black women. And I know that might seem awkward. Like, what? Like, this is 2021. Slavery was, 100 years ago. However, there is still a mentality that is embedded in women today, especially older generations of women who are still walking around existing in this world, and passing down certain traits to their children, who pass down certain traits to their children. It resonates with me that in books like Family and other slave narratives, that we see this devaluing of Black women, specifically Black women. So much so that when we are abused, we have internalized that it's not worth speaking out about or against. We just keep silent. We just be quiet. And it continues to just happen. And it's this mentality that set in that almost like we deserve it, or it's almost like a rites of passage for Black women to endure trauma. And we see this in Family. And then we also see it on a regular basis right now, to this day. That's why we can't completely remove ourselves from history, because it has a way of repeating itself. I'm going to speak directly to this whole theme of Black women's silence after abuse. It happens in the book, and then I am reminded of how this has continued throughout generations and generations and generations of us who have just endured and stayed silent. And sometimes what it ends up looking like is the woman who never smiles, the woman who always seems to be mad, the lady who never trusts anybody. We talk about how hard Black women are sometimes, and these stereotypes of what we are a lot. And I feel like books like this give me the opportunity to have empathy for women who may have a story that we just don't know personally. I am fortunate in that my upbringing was not riddled with trauma. And thus, I can say that it's a lot easier for me to smile. It's a lot easier for me to be joyous and uplifting. However, there are many, many women who don't have that same story. And I am reminded of that when I read books like this. I'm reminded of that when I watch shows even that remind me of it. Ayala Fix My Life, dog. But of course, shows like that are current day. But a lot of the same stuff that is happening right now was happening back then. So it stayed with us. And I'm fortunate that I can identify the things in books that I need to take away and use in my life currently. And this book does it for me. Like, it does it for me. There were also moments in the book where you can tell that the author took great care in how she handled some of the harder scenes. When it came to like assault and things like that, there was a manner in which she wrote it that did not give you all of these gruesome details, but it gave you enough for you to know and to understand what was happening, and for it to not be overwhelming to your emotions. Like, J. California Cooper is just a beast. Oh, rest in peace, ma'am. Rest in peace. There's another part of the book that I really enjoyed that I thought was necessary, that I'm so glad that Miss Cooper put in here. And that was, after the trauma, that one of our main characters has an opportunity to experience love and to be ladylike and to be soft and to be treated delicately by a man, a black man at that. While that may seem minute to some people, it is very, very necessary for us to see and for us to view, because sometimes we don't ever really get to experience that or see it or feel it. And she included it in the book with a gentleman named Tim. And I'm glad she did, because sis needed to just feel like a woman. She did. And the author let us see that for her. And I'm glad. Now let's get into all these little tabs y'all see on here. Actually, it's not that many tabs. I didn't start tabbing until later on, and I probably should have been doing it a lot sooner. But listen, she said some good stuff in this book, and I was like, oh, let me tag that. Or in my head, I was like, oh, let me highlight it. Okay, so this is the part where I'm going to tell y'all where e-reads, actually might be a little beneficial. Because had I had an e-read, I could have gone ahead and just did my hot little highlight, and then I could have came back to all of my stuff later on. But I didn't have an e-read. I went old school with it, so I had my tabs that I didn't start on time. But I still want to give y'all some of the little quotes that were takeaways for me. This page 115, just in case y'all care. Quote, "This is always." Now, let me preface this, because she's talking about why reading knowledge is important. And she says, "Something in your head worth as much as silver in your pocket." Okay, that's a word. Oh, that's a word. Okay, y'all, so this next part, this is always talking to her black man, Tim. "I's gonna rub you down with some special liniment." And then Tim says, "Your special liniment is love. You done already rubbed me all over my heart and my soul. My body be all right now." Oh, it's beautiful, y'all. Oh, it's so beautiful. I got lipstick on my hand. Let me get that off. Okay. Wasn't that beautiful, though? Y'all wait till I give me a husband. I can't wait to say that to my husband. Let me practice saying it again. Hold on. Wait, hold on, because that was Tim saying that to her. So then I'm going to have to say that to my husband. Okay, let me practice in my voice. Your special element is love. You done already rubbed me all over my heart and my soul, my body. I'll be all right now. Oh, my husband is gonna love me. And you know what? Clara, she says child a lot in this book. And that just got me to thinking that if I was to be a slave, I would have probably ended up being very similar to Clara. Yeah, like I'd have been like, oh, this too much. I have done just about all that I'm gonna do. I have endured all that I'm gonna take. I'm about to go, and I'm taking my kids with me. Y'all drink this. I'm gonna drink mine. Y'all drink yours. And we about to get from up out of here. We about to go on to glory together, right? That probably would have been me. But lo and behold, just like in old Tamara fashion, stuff just don't never be going my way. Child, and I'll mess around and be the only one dead. Kids still alive in the mud, and here I am dead. Like, I thought my kids was come up. Dang. I left my babies down there. Ain't this by the blip? Then I done got to the gates, right? Look, I got a whole scenario, right? I done got to the gate because I done killed myself. Now I think I'm going to heaven. So I done get to the gate and everything and got like, where you going? And I'm like, I'm coming up into the pearly gates, sir. Hey, Dad, what's up? And God is like, did nobody tell you to do that? Like, well, girl, stay on out there. Stay out there. And then you get scared. You're like, oh my God, like, Lord, please don't let me go to hell. I don't want to go to hell. It's too hot. And my hair is synthetic. God, no. And he like, girl, ain't nobody said you was going to hell. But you gonna stay out there for a little minute because you wasn't right, child. No, you wasn't right. So go ahead and stay out there. Go check on them kids, as a matter of fact. And I'll let you know when you can come back in this house. And then you be like, okay then, God, I'm gonna go see what my babies is up to. But you let me know when I can when I can head on into heaven. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, now would be a great time to do that. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button right now and the notification bell so that you do not miss any time that I upload a video. Family by J. California Cooper gets 5 acrylic nails. I hope you guys have enjoyed my review of Family by J. California Cooper. If you have not read this literary masterpiece yet, please make sure that you pick it up and do so. And remember, I'm Tam. I'm telling tales. Read a book.